Week 8 was a rough one. It turned out to be a great lesson in what we don't want to do if we don't want to blow up our account. For the week, my realized losses amounted to over 5,000. I became emotional and started revenge trading. I wasn't planning out my trades before getting into them to understand the risk involved or if I can even create the position based on my account balance. Just overall, a very poor week that had a lot of lessons that we need to learn if we want to be able to grow our account going forward. Starting the week, we were still looking for QQQ to trade lower. The main portion of our put position was the 564 puts expiring September 19th. Monday, the market traded lower, and it looked like we were off to a good start to the week. On Tuesday, there was a big CPI reading expected, and my thought was because the market has been riding so hot, this could be a good event to reverse the market lower. I was unfortunately wrong, and the CPI reading led the market higher. On Tuesday, the market started going higher. It continued to go higher, and this is when I started to make critical mistakes that impacted the outcome of the week. The first thing I did when the market opened higher is I started closing out the calls that I bought as hedges against my put position. After closing out these calls, the market continued higher to the point where I decided to go ahead and sell all of my open put positions on QQQ. The plan at this point was to build a bear call spread in which I would take advantage of going against the momentum, playing that it wouldn't go much higher. My goal with the bear call spread was to buy the September 19th expiration calls at 615 and sell the September 19th expiration calls at 595. Basically, this bet was saying that QQQ would not continue to go straight up and cross through 595. The issue here was it was an unplanned emotional trade in which I was just trying to make up for losses that I already took. For this reason, the trade wasn't planned out. I did not have the collateral to cover this trade, so I wasn't able to execute it. Because I was already in the 615 leg of the trade, I made a revenge trade by trying to get back all of the losses by buying very aggressive puts the following week. You'll see here that when I was trying to open up this bear call spread, there were a lot of trades that were getting rejected because I did not plan out the trade and make sure I had the collateral before opening up the trade. Finally, I started to open up the 577 puts that expired the following Tuesday, which is an absolute no go if we're trying to grow an account and prevent our account from blowing up. This was a revenge YOLO trade aimed at making a large sum of money in a short period of time to make up for the recent losses. I ended up buying 11 of the 577 puts in total. On Tuesday, I was down over 1,000 in this position, and by Wednesday, I was down over 2,000 because I also sold 620 calls against the 615 calls and took more of those funds and added it to the 577 puts. That's how we got to 11 open options in that position. By Thursday, I closed out the 577 puts because the market was going higher. It was starting to stall, but at this point, I had to make a decision that I wasn't going to let the account go to zero. As we'll see in future videos, of course, QQQ did end up trading lower the following week. If I would have stretched that position out to, let's say, Friday, it would have been a huge win. But that's the issue with options trading when you don't give yourself enough time for the position to work out. You could be right and you could have a huge win, or you could be wrong and blow up the account. The point of this challenge is that if we focus on the long term, we don't need to risk blowing up our account to grow our funds substantially. So there's never a reason to trade 1 week out to put all of our money at risk and try to make 1,000, 2,000% gains. It's just not necessary to do. Unfortunately, this wasn't enough to prevent me from continuing to trade very aggressively throughout the week. I ended up buying the 570 puts that expired September 5th. And when the market started to trade a bit lower on Thursday, then it traded lower on Friday, we made a slight profit in this position. By Friday, I decided that it was time to set up a position that could be worthwhile and that we could hold for a while. So we went out to October 17th and we bought 3 580 puts. And the goal with these 3 580 puts expiring October 17th is to keep these open and work around the position and hedge it to hopefully get a win in the account. Even an October 17th expiration is very short-lived. We want to get to a point where we're trading 6 months, a year and a half out on the core of our account, so we're not risking large losses. We never want to risk being put out the game completely. This week we did. It was a very bad week of trading, great week of lessons, and we are looking to not make the same mistakes going forward.